I need to thrive today, and I need to thrive in the future.
You're listening to Empty Nexters, a podcast about finding joy, beauty, and wonder in the next season of life. What's your next? Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Empty Nexter podcast. I'm your host, Shelley, and I am so excited to be with you today. Again, we are grateful that you have taken time out of your day to spend time with us, and we hope when you shut this podcast off that you have walked away encouraged, refreshed, and energized to live your best next life. And with that being said, I am over the moon excited to have one of my most favorite people, Mona, in the studio today. She and I have been journeying down the road of life for probably 20 plus years. She has been, I came up with a word the other night. You know, a lot of people want to say things like seasoned woman or mature woman instead of calling us old ladies, which I'm really okay with. However, she is my, what was the word? Seasoned sister. I mean, she's just been seasoned a little more than me. I'm a little younger than her, but she's got a lot of wisdom, and I am so grateful. I lost my big sister 30 years ago, and God has been so faithful to bring older, more wonderful, beautiful sisters into my life, and I am so grateful. So with that being said, let's welcome Mona.
Hi,
Mona.
Shelley. Oh, seasoned sister. You know, all I can say to that is the aging process is a humbling experience.
We could talk about that for a long time.
Yes. That's a part of the Nexters.
That's right. You have to get to that point to understand it, though.
Yes.
So, Mona, tell us, first of all, what's the topic of your this episode today?
Thriving in the next.
I love it. You hear that, ladies and gentlemen? Thriving. We're not surviving. We have gotten out of that mode. I mean, some days it's survival. Some days that's all you can do is survive.
Yeah.
But we want to move from survive to thrive.
Yes, absolutely. That's important.
So with that being said, we're going to dive right in to Mona's story of thriving in our next. Take it away.
Okay, well, a little about myself. I am a mother. First of all, a child of God. Yay.
Ooh, yes.
That's important. I am a wife, a mother of 2 adult daughters that are in their mid-30s. Now, that is
crazy, right?
That's crazy. In their mid-30s. And I am retired. This is my 8th year.
8 years already?
8th year.
Wow. You haven't slowed down one bit, though, from what I can see from my vantage point.
Yeah, but what's important to know, and maybe we'll get to talk about that, is I've evolved in my thriving.
Come on.
In those 8 years, I've learned a lot, and as a result of learning, I've had to make some adjustments.
Good.
So married, 43 years?
Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank
Marriage
you.
goals right there.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yes. So, yeah, thriving, I've always had the belief, I would say, as I awakened as a Christian, I started making decisions and choices, I would say, from a place of faith and from a place of trusting God, as opposed to my ego and as opposed to what others were doing and or what others thought I should be doing.
Wow. Okay. When you said that, because I've heard several women in the season we're in say at certain times, I want to do that, but that's not who I am. I see this person doing that. What should I do that? You know how as women or people in general, we see someone else doing a diet, a lifestyle, whatever, I should do that. How did you decide this is what I need to do and not be worried with what everybody else is doing?
Yeah, I'm a praying woman. So I remember when I retired, even when my second daughter went off to college, I can remember saying, okay, Lord, what does well-being look like for me? What does thriving look like for me? So those were my 2 words, well-being and thriving. And when I think about that, it really to me meant was I need to thrive today and I need to thrive in the future. And so I said, well, what does that look like? So I got clear about what would I be saying to myself 5 years from now. In
That's
this,
good.
my
Thank you.
children are
Yeah.
gone away, gone to school, and also in the retirement life. What would I be saying to myself 5 years later? So the important things that came to my mind, I must have meaning and purpose.
That's good.
So I got real clear on what does meaning and purpose mean for me, not for anybody else, not for my husband, not for my children, but literally I had to get in touch with what does having meaning and purpose to me mean. And then I had to say, well, how do I stay well from a place of today?
Yeah.
And also realizing that life has its ups and downs. How do I stay well even in the midst of when life knocks me down?
That's good. Very good.
So, sad. My girls were gone away, and now I'm in retirement. I was like, okay, I don't want to be sad. So what do I want to be? So I got clear that I needed to have purpose, have meaning. So I spent time with myself trying to establish that. And then I said, well, how do I maintain that? How do I sustain that?
That's good.
So I got clear about I need to have my word daily. I need to have prayer. I need to eat well.
Yeah.
I need to exercise. I need to have fellowship with others, like come in here and you know how we get lunch and have girlfriend times.
Yes.
That to me, those are important things to me. And then I know that my husband's gift is the gift of time with me.
Right.
I don't know if that's the right gift, but it is
quality
time. And I said, okay, Lord, help me be what I need to be for my husband.
Right.
And he suggested we play golf together. We used to play tennis together.
Yeah.
And I hated golf. I hated it.
But it's a little less strenuous on your body, right?
Right. But it's going back to I had to learn what well-being meant. So well-being for me in a happy marriage meant I need to do something that he wanted to enjoy. So I took lessons.
I love it. Good for you.
And so now I don't hate it. I would say I've evolved to.
That's good.
I've evolved to once I get out there, I have fun.
It's the getting there. You just got to tell yourself. Hey, let me go back to the 5-year thing because, first of all, did you ever have those moments when the girls left, your last child left? Did you ever have like a sad day, a sad month of what do I do? What's my purpose? Where does anybody need me? All those moments. Did you feel those things too?
Yes, I did. But I'm a person of. I need to be aware of where I'm not allowing my feelings to lead.
Good.
So I was sad and I was like, oh no, I'm not going to live sad. Okay. So that's when I started asking myself, what does well-being look like? And I joined a tennis league.
Wow. Good.
I remember we dropped her off at Auburn and I think it was September, and in October I was in a tennis league.
Look at you. You didn't even let any time pass.
When I started feeling sad, and I thought, okay, that's a feeling that's not good, so what do I need to do to replace that? And I sat down and started thinking, well, what in the spirit of well-being, what does it look like for me?
That's good.
And I played tennis up until I was pregnant with Rachel, my first one. And so I said, that's what I enjoyed doing. So let me start there.
That's good. We had one of my girlfriends, Charlotte, on, and her topic was adventure in my next. And that's her. She tapped into what she already kind of felt like she wanted to do. And then she just, as soon as she retired, she was out on the road living her best out in adventure in nature. So the reason we do this too is to encourage anyone that listens. It doesn't matter your age. If you're in a season where life is shifting on you, you've got to be prepared. The goal of this podcast is to prepare the next generation, the ones we're living with and up above us. Those times are going to come.
Yes.
How do you fight for your well-being? How do you pivot here and adjust? So thank you for saying that.
Yeah, and that's just life. And so often from having girlfriends like I'm over the hump and I'm over 65. But anyway.
And you look so good. Let me tell y'all,
you.
if y'all could see how beautiful she is.
In life, it's always ups and downs and changes. And I always say to people, yes, be aware of the change, but what's going to be your response to the change?
That's good. Yes.
Yeah. And
that's been helpful to me personally. You have helped me in that. I never thought, this change is coming, get ahead of it.
Yeah.
And it's hard to think that way when you're in the middle of it and the emotions are so strong of that child leaving the house.
Mm-hmm.
How am I going to, or even looking ahead for retirement? I already know I'm going to be lost for a second. That's why I started this. This is my next.
I
have to get ahead of it.
Yeah.
And I want the people on the other side listening to us to know preparation's key. Yeah. It doesn't always take away the emotion. There's still going to be those days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the emotions, I would say, I learned, and I wrote down that word on my notes because what I learned, here are the things that I've learned in facing that. Decisions in your next are emotional. They really are. And I had to develop a pattern or change my thinking patterns. Like, if I'm fearful, I ask questions. What am I fearful of? What's the worst that could happen? And then I hang in there. Well, if that happens, then what? Right. So I find that when I ask myself questions, it shifts my thinking. It shifts my perspective. So I am not afraid of the fear or the falling down because I say, okay, so what if that happens?
Right. That's good.
What do I do? And what I'm finding and what I've learned is I shift my perspective, and it's really not as bad as we oftentimes think.
That's true.
And you just have to practice different things and find your groove.
That's true.
Yeah.
I love that. You have to shift your perspective and ask the right questions.
Yeah.
I never thought to, when you are fearful of what am I going to do when my kids leave or what am I going to do when I retire, go through the checklist. What's the worst that can happen?
And then
what's the best that can happen? I mean, we can look at it either way. Half empty glass, half full glass. I mean,
and if it's your fear, so what? So what would I do if that happens?
That's good.
And then another question I always ask myself is, if I knew I wouldn't fail,
oh, ouch,
what would I do?
I've heard that one before.
Yeah, if I knew that I wouldn't fail, and it shifts your perspective.
Yeah. That's good stuff. That's good advice.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, keep on telling us your story. What's happening?
And I want to thrive. And to me, it was important. And when the children left and in retirement, I wanted to thrive in my life, in my work, and in my marriage. So I got clear about what thriving meant. And thriving is the well-being, as I say. And then what does it look like for me? I had to get real clear about what it looks like for me. And believing that I have the ability and the capacity to thrive and evolve.
That's good. I love that word capacity.
Yeah.
That's like my catchphrase word these days. I think women a lot of times think they have more capacity than they do.
Yeah.
And then I know I've been that way. And then you push past that capacity and then you're running on fumes and then your family suffers and it trickles down to everything suffering, your body.
Yes.
And so I think that phrase alone, how did you manage capacity in your life?
Yeah. And so the word thriving and evolving. So I learned I'm always paying attention to when I'm doing too much and I need to pull back. So for example, when I started my coaching practice right after retirement, I said, part-time, it's part-time. I kept saying to myself, part-time. And
you're so cute.
And I lost sight of part-time.
Intentions were good, right?
Yeah. But that's why I say thriving and evolving and learning. I remember I woke up one day, I had 40 clients and I was.
That is not part-time.
Yes. I was feeling it.
Yeah.
And Gilbert was like, what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
I thought you retired. And those were cues for me. So I learned that I had to get clear about my capacity.
Good.
Capacity in the context of my well-being.
So let me ask you, does capacity define you?
I would say more well-being defines
Thank you.
me.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like I think the trap that I got caught up in is if I don't show up, they're going to think less of me. If I don't give my everything, my value is diminished.
No.
As women, we get so much from being needed as moms and wives and workers. And if we don't give, even to the last whatever. So I appreciate you saying,
no, yes. So as I said in the front end, as a Christian, I learned to really think about what is the Lord calling me to do and operate more out of faith and understanding what He wants as opposed to ego and what others want. So I constantly go back to when I feel like I've exceeded my capacity of giving, when I know that my well-being is like shaken, I have to pull back and say, okay, what's going on?
That's good for you. Wow.
What is going on?
We should have a capacity meter, like in our, it's our body.
Yes.
But that is the capacity meter.
Right.
And sometimes we push it down until
we ignore the cues.
You end up in the hospital or you end up sidelined or benched or like we've talked about. But I think that's good. I think you saying that to me, I felt the Holy Spirit say, we need to be mindful of our capacity in every area.
Right. And we ignore the cues. And for example, ministry. So what does thriving look like for me? It's I've got to believe that I have ability and capacity and know when to evolve. Thriving to me is being fruitful in the ministry, being available with my husband, my part-time coaching. Oh, and let me go back to the ministry part. Oh my gosh. You're talking about well-being and evolving in the ministry. Sometimes we can get so caught up in, as you say, pleasing the flock or pleasing other people. Gilbert and I had to get clear about what does thriving in the ministry look like for us.
Good for you.
And that's when we decided that we needed to pull away. And so we planned initially, we planned once a quarter trips going away. But last year, I got too excited and I started taking trips almost every month, and it might kill me. It might kill me. So I learned that, okay, we can't do monthly, but we can do quarterly. Yeah. And when we pull away, let's be intentional.
That's good.
About resting.
Yeah. And sometimes pulling away doesn't mean a big trip. Sometimes it means you just I have learned this new thing on my phone. It's called Do Not Disturb.
Absolutely.
I have a friend who was always saying, put it on Do Not Disturb. I always felt guilty. No, I need to be available. They're like, nothing happening that they can't get you. Of course, not for my family, but I've started doing it. And I'm like, freedom,
Absolutely.
My brain, my mind. But even pulling away and just, like you said, going and playing golf.
Yeah.
Finding something that refreshes your soul, because you specifically, because of your position in ministry, people can really, really pull on your virtue. Yeah. Us as women in general, our kids, our whatever, pull on our virtue. And if we don't stop, like again, that capacity meter will go off the chart and we'll be forced to sit a minute.
Right.
Which I don't want to do that anymore. I've done it a lot.
You've done it a lot.
I've been benched way too much lately.
Yeah. So I listen to now the cues, the physical cues, my body, how my body is feeling and how I'm, am I thriving today or when I need to pull back? Also my coaching, I now do only 10 clients at a time.
Good for you.
And then I had to evolve from coaching every day of the week, like opening my calendar up every day. I only do coaching now Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Good for you. Okay. But that was a process, right?
That was
you started out the gate really like, wow, you pulled back. So we need to remember that once you get out there, it's trial and error. You figure out the balance, right?
Yeah. And that's what I had to do. And the traveling. Now I'm pulling back.
Right.
And I like to go more than my husband likes to go, but that's my well-being. And we talk about that.
Right. Yeah. But at a certain age too, I'm 58. It's exhausting to travel for me now. I'm like, I love to travel. And fortunately, my husband was blessed to work with the airline and I can go anywhere, anytime. But it's like, I've got to really get myself physically ready because you're go, go, go.
Yes.
Getting on a plane's exhausting and then getting to the hotel. But then once you get there, you can kind of let down a little bit. But that's a stamina thing too, you know, to where, but in the end, it does bring life and refreshment to you. But yeah, I admire watching you go like you do. You are a spunky woman. I'm like, whoa, you're just a great example. You and Gilbert both have always been such great examples of how to, and I take my cues from you. I learned to pull back because I'm watching such people ahead of me learning how to do it well.
Oh, well, so thank you. Yeah, and the Holy Spirit definitely wakes me up sometimes and say, what are you doing?
I know.
What are you doing?
Thank you for listening because you look very refreshed today.
I did rest all week. We had a full weekend.
Yes.
And that was another example. I thought, okay, once upon a time, if I know that we had ministry on Saturday and on Sunday, I would book my Saturday and just be running from event to event. I'm learning that no, if we have ministry on Saturday and Sunday, I need to not schedule anything.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Very good.
Yeah.
And massages help too.
Oh, for sure.
That's become a way of life for me. Everybody on the podcast probably like, Shelley, seriously, how much money are you spending on massages? I'm like, as much as it takes.
Right. If that defines your well-being, I'd say go for.
I mean, forget like nails getting done. I do get my toes done sometimes, but I have found massages just refresh me and they keep me going.
Yeah, and you're talking about evolving on that. Over the past 2 years, I was getting a facial a month and a massage a month.
Good for you.
And I would get
a little manicure.
Just a manicure.
Love it.
But then I started thinking, am I really getting the value out of all of that? Or am I a slave to a calendar going from appointment to appointment?
Wow, that's a good point.
And I really had to, because I do Pilates on Thursdays. I work out with my trainer on Tuesday. Then I had the massages. Then I had the facials. And I was like, this is way too much.
It's a lot. Self-care can be you can overdo self-care apparently.
Right. And I had to pull back.
That sounds so weird that we can say that. So talk about thriving in including the healthy lifestyle that you're living. Just for a second, we'll trail off a minute. So
in terms of the key word for me is thriving, and thriving means having well-being.
Right.
And exercise was an example of how to maintain my well-being. So I don't do well in gyms. So when I retired, and I always tease my husband, I felt like he literally dragged me to the gym by my hair. I felt like I was going to the gym kicking and screaming.
Wow.
I just don't like the smell of gyms.
I don't like them either.
And so I did the gym for a year. And then I thought, this is not fueling me.
Right.
I'm not happy.
Good.
So I noticed that they had trainers in the gym.
Wow.
And so I went up to this female that was a trainer and I said, do you train? And she said, yeah. So she trains at her house. So I go to her house.
I love it.
And
love it.
I figured that out.
Right.
That I didn't have to go to the gym and have to socialize. So now I work with her alone.
I love it.
Even during pandemic, we did it on the video.
Zoom? Really?
On Zoom.
See, and to me, that goes back to me personally, excuses that we need to get out of the way because there is no reason in this day and age that we cannot, even with my knee issues, I've been doing chair workouts. We have to fight to thrive in our health as we're getting older. So good for you to make it work for you.
And on that note, Shelley, I think about in thriving, I had to become aware of those self-limiting thoughts.
That's good.
And behaviors.
Yeah.
It amazes me sometimes, even in my coaching and with myself, a lot of times we are clear. We're clear about what thriving or well-being looks like, feels like, tastes like. But then we have those thoughts that come up and say, you can't do that. You know, and we have to really be aware of those self-limiting thoughts and those things that get away from that inhibit us
Right.
from thriving.
That's good. What are your go-tos when those thoughts hit you? Like, do you have a set scripture verses, or how do you combat that when those thoughts hit you?
Well, my favorite scripture, especially if it's the fear thought, is the Lord didn't give me a spirit of fear, but of love, power, and a sound mind.
That's right.
I think it's 2 Timothy 1, 6, and 7. So I'll say that.
Yeah.
And then Proverbs 3, and I think it's 3, 5, and 6, lean not to your own understanding,
trust in the Lord, yes.
but trust in the Lord and acknowledge him in all your ways. So when I have those thoughts, I always say, okay, I call it interference.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, interference. I always say to myself, what's disturbing my peace right now? What's interfering with my peace right now?
That's really...
I answered that question,
so good.
And then I say, so what can I do about it, and what do I want to do about it?
Wow.
Because sometimes we disturb our peace and we're fearful that we don't want to do anything about it, or we're fearful about taking it. So I always name it.
Right.
What's disturbing my peace?
So say that again. What's disturbing my peace, and what am I going to do about it?
Yeah, this is the order. What's disturbing my peace? What are the options? I ask myself, what if I could resolve this peace? What are the options that I could do? And then what am I going to do about it?
That's so
and then
profound. I have never considered that.
I take action.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm going to have to listen to this podcast later and take some notes.
It is and what I find is sometimes it could be stupid stuff.
Oh yeah. I call myself, you're not supposed to call yourself that stupid word, because you tell your kids, but I'm like, sometimes I'm just dumb.
No, it's just, but then you have to acknowledge, okay, this is stupid thinking. And so what are my options here? I can stay in the stupid zone, or I can, or I can go,
And what's bad is you want to invite other people to come in this stupid zone with you. Like all your girlfriends, hey, come get in this stupid zone with me and help me stay here. But no, we need sisters in our lives like you and all my other sisters. Like, no. You did a teaching one time on guardrails. I told you last year, I think at one of our sisterhoods, that had profoundly affected my life. How we need people, just like on a highway, we have guardrails so we don't end up going off into the ditch or the big ravine and crashing and burning and all the things, but having safeguards in our lives. So then we do get in that stupid zone. Yeah. They go, get back on the road and get back on that track that you need to be on.
Yeah. So I awesome. I just definitely, I'm aware of the interference. What are those things? And then I say, okay, I stop. And this isn't a long process. It's like seconds.
Yeah.
What's disturbing my peace right now? What are my options? And so what am I going to do?
Man, thank you for that truth bomb right there. That's going to stay with me for quite a while.
Yeah, it's real. So in terms of the thriving, again, believing that I have the ability and capacity. Thriving to me is being functional in my ministry, part-time coaching, and knowing how many clients I can hold at one time, having balance in my travel.
Good.
And knowing how at this age I can't travel monthly,
right,
and have well-being. So I'm spreading it out, and the activity with my husband, and community time, fellowship with girlfriends, being with you and my girlfriends in church and outside of church. That to me is important.
Yes.
So I definitely, and then I would say my inspiration words I think about.
I love that.
In terms of thriving is intention, operating with intention, meaning that when I book things on my calendar or when I get an invitation we get a lot of invitations, or people wanting you to do things. Right. I have to really pull up and say, okay, in the spirit of well-being.
Yes, there you go. Wow.
What do I say to this? Yeah. Do I have the capacity, or is it going to take me off course?
That's good.
So I've learned how to say no, not this time, not now.
Yeah.
So that's one of the biggest things, it being in ministry,
Right.
that I've had to be able to say is, we can't do this,
Yeah.
or we can't do that. So intention, being aware of what well-being means to me, so that when things come my way, I know what to say no to and yes to.
That's good.
And the second word is resilience.
Nice.
Going back to that capacity. I mean, life has a way of sucking the air out of you, and you can go down the road and things just get in your way. Things come at you. So I have to always pray and ask God to give me his divine perspective.
That's good. Yes.
On this situation, so that I don't let it overtake me.
Wow.
If I want to stay in the well-being zone, I need to be resilient. I need to expect that things are going to rock my world, that I'm going to hit some bumps along the road.
Right.
But do I have what it takes to recover?
Wow. That's good.
And to get back up.
So when you say that, the thing that popped in my mind is, do I have what it takes to recover? If we aren't making a plan, if we aren't already taking care of our bodies, thriving, when we do hit those walls, the recovery time is longer because we haven't gotten ready.
Yeah.
We haven't, again, the word prepared. That's the word God dropped in my spirit in January. And obviously with what we're doing with our church and our women's ministry, God's used that word again. But I think it's a key word. Be prepared for those moments to happen because they're coming.
Yes.
So if we get our bodies thriving, if we're resilient about our minds, then when those things happen, the health issues, the family issues, the whatever issues, our rebound time is not so long.
Right.
As opposed to, we're already going on fumes in every way possible. We're depleted spiritually because we're not in our word or praying. So that was so powerful. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, so I do the resilient part. As a Christian, I've learned now that, the enemy is always trying to find a way to trap you. He's like, I didn't get you there, so let me try this.
Right.
And I get you there. And I just expect derailers. But then I have to say, okay, what's the word say about this?
That's good.
Yeah.
And if you don't have the energy, you call a sister that does.
Right, absolutely.
We're better together. We need each other terribly. Right. We cannot do this alone. And if you're listening to this podcast right now and you're alone, I encourage you to cry out to Jesus and call a trusted sister to help you walk through the season you're in right now and get you out of whatever space you're in that's causing you to feel defeated and not thriving. That is the goal, is to thrive in your next and thrive in every area of your life.
Yeah.
But it takes intentionality, like Mona said. The only way to be resilient is you have to be intentional.
Right.
Those go hand in hand, in my opinion.
And you helped me out Saturday. I literally, for the event that we had Friday night, the Harmony Couples, I awakened in the middle of the night. I was like, oh my gosh, I've got these prayer points that I need to create a card for, and I know basic Word and basic PowerPoint, and I typed it up, tried to make it pretty big. Long story short, I was like, Lord, you know what? I need some help from my community.
Yes.
And I'm going to ask for forgiveness because I should have made this call 2 or 3 days earlier, but I'm going to reach out to Shelley and say, Shelley, what advice would you give me?
Yeah.
And you helped. I mean, it was like this problem was solved in less than 10 minutes.
And that's why we need it. And I think we think, we're going to burden them. If they can't do it, they'll say it, hopefully. If not, whatever. But I think we do a disservice to other people because they can be a blessing in our life. Like even with my health issues, people wanted to bring me meals. And my first thing was, no, I'm okay. I don't want to put you out. But I forget, them serving me was a blessing to them. They were able to, like even you bringing that meal, I'm like, you are so busy. I don't want to put you. But then I realized, Lord, I'm robbing somebody else of the blessing of serving their friends, their sisters. So I think we have to kind of shift our perspective to go, I don't want to have to get out in the cold, rainy weather and go make print copies when I know that there's probably a better way. Help.
Yeah.
And just put out the SOS to sisters or friends that can help you.
Right. And that is helpful.
Praise
Thank
God.
you for saying that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mhm.
So we gotta help each other out as we walk through this journey.
Yeah.
So how are we, where are we at now is that at this moment with your thriving and helping others? Like, do you get pulled on a lot to pour into other people, to speak into that area that you're at now as far as thriving and being resilient? Do other women, do you find any pushback, or is there a lot of like, they don't really understand how to do it, or are they hearing you when you say that to them?
Well, I can't say that I'm getting it from the ministry, but in my coaching practice.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I coach executives and leaders.
Yeah.
And while it's amazing that it's been I think 8 years.
Yes, wow, amazing.
8 years that I retired, and I remember the push and the stress of working in corporate America. And so, as I coach executives now, I always ask them are you thriving?
It's good.
And they always, I say, are you thriving or surviving?
What do they usually say?
Good question.
Wow.
Really? And most of the time they're saying they're surviving.
Survival mode is not good for your health at any age, let alone when you're in the 50-plus world, in my opinion.
And I always encourage them. I said, well, do you want to thrive?
Wow. It's a good question.
And then they go, I don't know.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
They say, I don't know?
People, I find that people don't breathe and stop to think about what could be versus what is.
They're just trying to get through every day.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow. It's a good thing you ask those kind of questions. I bet they don't probably are taken aback, like you said.
Yeah. And I always go, I coach the whole person. Like thriving in your marriage, thriving in your couples, thriving in your community. I highlight all the areas.
Yeah.
And then I say, well, if you knew you could thrive, what would you do?
Wow. That's a great question.
Yeah. So I find that oftentimes we don't give ourselves permission.
Well, you can speak on that for a long time.
To thrive.
Shelley, Mona, give yourself permission. It's okay.
Yeah.
Why is that so hard for us? Like, why do we feel like we need permission to live healthy and live rested and refreshed and resilient? Why do we always put up our own roadblock there?
Because I think people live from a place of what others think they should be.
Yeah.
We project unnecessary things on ourselves.
That word project. That's it. I've heard that a lot lately, and I've lived that way a lot.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do that anymore.
God uniquely created us. When he thought about Shelley and he thought about Mona, I mean, he had a plan. He has a plan. And I always ask God, Lord, let me walk in the plan that you have for me, not for what others have. So I think people don't give themselves permission because they don't think that they can.
Well, I think we want to shatter the lies. We want to shatter, as I say sometimes, we want to flip the script. Yep. We want to go off script. We want to go a little rogue.
Yeah.
And say on this podcast, you have permission. We, as your sisters or who, whatever right now, we give you permission to thrive. Fight for your health. Fight for your mental health, your physical body, every area. We give you permission. And what's more than that is the Lord gives you permission.
Right.
He wants us to live our best life, to be full in Him in every way and not put up barriers and boundaries on ourselves.
Right. And don't be afraid to spend time with the Lord and yourself to say, well, what does that look like for me?
Yeah, that's good.
I mean, and that's the key is praying and asking God to give you His divine perspective and spending time with yourself and say, what would a week in the life of Mona look like if she's thriving?
That's awesome. I think, like we said earlier, it's trial and error. You might go, oh, wait, I don't know. This might not be working, but let me try this. And then sooner or later, it'll click. And you'll find, like, I never thought I'd be sitting here doing this.
Look at you.
In a million years. You cannot even imagine the amount of joy I get when I get to sit across from someone like you. My sisters that I get to just talk real life with.
Yeah.
Never would have thought, unless I gave myself permission to figure out what my next is.
Yeah.
So what would be the action steps that you would recommend as we close out the podcast?
Pray.
Amen.
If you have no clue about your next, start with prayer.
Amen.
Asking God to just open your eyes to things, open your eyes to activities, open your eyes to areas that you're not aware of. Believe you me, I've always asked, Lord, give me your perspective regarding this motherhood, being a wife, being a professional in the work. So pray first.
Right.
And then expect to receive answers.
I love that. That's good. Expect.
And expect. When you expect, you write it down.
Yes.
Just write it down. What's coming forward?
Yeah.
And then once you write it down, make a plan.
That's good.
Try it out. Try some things out to figure out how will this work? Will that work?
Right.
And then I would say, once you make a plan, reflect.
I love it.
What am I noticing?
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. What am I noticing? And then you change, you evolve it.
I love it.
Yeah.
So you said PEP, pray, expect, plan, and then resolve. So pepper.
Pepper. Okay.
I'll remember it that way.
Spice. Add some spice.
A little spice. There you go.
Don't be afraid. You've got to really sit down and get to know who you are. Sometimes as mothers and as wives, we get
lost. Yeah.
We get lost. We lose who we are.
Yeah.
And you got to find yourself.
Yeah. As we look into our next, and a lot of us are on that fun journey of, retirement and all the things. Common culture has always been just sit down, let life pass you by as the end of your season closes out. And I'm like, absolutely not. We need that spice. We need that next. And so, as Pastor Mona has said to us, we can pray, expect, plan, and resolve to live our next life, this next life, as best as we can. We want to thrive in our next. We don't want to just survive in our next anymore.
Right.
We want to finish well. I want to be so exhausted in a good way.
Yeah.
Because I've lived my next thriving in all the things that God has for us. And that's the way I want to end this podcast. Thank you, Mona, for coming. Thank you for reminding us, man, that was some deep stuff. I'm going to have to go back and listen and literally make notes. And I'm sitting here across from you. So many things are going through my mind. Like, I could go on forever, but thank you for just sharing the wisdom that you've learned through your years. And thank you for being such a great example of what it looks like for my seasoned sister to show us the path well. And I don't mean that in a trite way. I mean that with all sincerity. The generation coming behind you is grateful. Yeah. And that's what we want to continue to do, the girls behind us and the young men, whoever listens.
Absolutely. And we learn from each other, even the generations behind us.
Yes.
We learn from each other. So thank you for having me.
This has been fun. So much fun. Okay, so as we close out, Mona and I encourage you to go out, live your best next, thriving, not surviving, and have a great one.